Comedian Katt Williams is dominating social media this past few weeks after he called out a long list of other comedians and entertainers like Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, Kevin Hart, and Rickey Smiley for grievances and other criticism in a nearly 3-hour-long appearance on Shannon Sharpe's Club Shay Shay podcast. On January 3rd, the internet stopped in its tracks by precisely this as Williams sat down for a nearly 3-hour viral tour de force interview with ESPN First Take correspondent Shannon Sharpe on his podcast, Club Shay Shay. What was interesting was how Sharpe, who has had many of the attacked comedians on his podcast, mainly sat back and let Williams get his takes off, mostly unchallenged.
And the reason I had to come is because you made a safe place for the truth to be told. You know what I mean?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I have watched all of these lowbrow comedians come here and disrespect you in your face and tell you straight up lies.
Was he there to set the record straight? Apparently so. Well, let's get into it. Smiley was the first in Williams's crosshairs following Sharpe's introduction. Katt Williams responded to Rickey Smiley's claims that his role in Friday After Next was intended for him.
Your story is the Rickey Smiley that couldn't even do curse words because he had a Christian fan base. He was gonna play the pimp. Why you didn't ask him why has he played a woman in more movies than he's played a man? You wouldn't let an athlete that been on steroids talk about one of the greats. Rickey Smiley can't act because Rickey Smiley can't act. He told you the story.
Williams said Rickey Smiley was lying about Williams' role in Friday After Next, originally being intended for him instead, adding he put a clause in his contracts that he would not work with Smiley moving forward unless he's in a dress, because him and Tyler Perry can't play a man to save their life. On January 4th, Smiley responded to Williams on his radio show, The Rickey Smiley Morning Show. He brought his former manager on to confirm that he auditioned for the role of Money Mike before Williams, but clarified that he was glad Williams got the part because he made it funnier, and there was no way in hell I could have executed that role like that. He said he didn't want to make any derogatory comments about Williams because he didn't like the way Williams' remarks made his kids feel, adding, "It ain't nothing but love here." Katt Williams subsequently called out Steve Harvey, alleging he plagiarized the premise of Mark Curry's sitcom Hangin' with Mr. Cooper for The Steve Harvey Show, and said that Harvey couldn't be a movie star because he lacked the range and looks.
Oh, you couldn't be a movie star. There are 30,000 new scripts in Hollywood every year. Not one of them asks for a country bumpkin black dude that can't talk good, baby, and look like Mr. Potato Head.
Steve told you that he stopped doing stand-up because he has 7 TV shows. The only problem is when he stopped stand-up, he didn't have those 7 TV shows. He claimed that Steve Harvey stopped doing stand-up after losing a comedy battle called the Championship of Stand-Up Comedy to him in Detroit in front of 10,000 people. He also said that Steve Harvey lied about being homeless, as he was already making $3,000 per show 5 times in a week while touring with Mark Curry 25 years ago. Williams claimed that Steve Harvey wasn't being truthful and was trying to rewrite history.
Oh, thanks to my wife, I'm where I am. You said that about the first wife. You forget that? You told us it was her, then you went and married somebody else that think like a man. Like, what are you talking about? They think they can rewrite history.
In a January 7th Twitter X post featuring the host on set of Family Feud, Steve Harvey may have addressed Katt Williams' recent criticisms by not addressing him at all. Harvey tells the audience that no one ever needs to explain themselves to haters. No, you ain't got to tell nobody nothing. All you got to do is be it. You don't have to open your mouth. He began before quoting Psalms 23:5.
He prepares a table in the presence of mine enemies. He do it all the time. All my haters, I ain't got to say nothing to them. They got TV. They can cut their TV on 7 days a week. All that hating, he on there.
Williams also called out Cedric the Entertainer for allegedly plagiarizing a joke he created verbatim, which Williams performed during comedy sets and on BET's Comic View in the 1990s.
He thought that I was just a no-name comedian.
And that he could take this joke and nobody would know. The issue was that I made this particular joke on BET's Comic View twice, Williams claimed. Cedric comes to the Comedy Store. He watches me in the audience. He comes backstage. He tells me what a great job I did and how much he loves the joke. 2 years later, he's doing that as his last joke on the original Kings of Comedy, and he's doing it verbatim. He just changed my car into a spaceship. Shortly after that interview went live, Cedric took to social media to respond to the diss. Revisionist history. Regardless of whatever Katt's opinion is, my career can't be reduced to one joke. Katt Williams claims as his, the barbershop star wrote on Instagram. I've been in over 40 movies and my specials and brand speaks volume for who I am. The people I have put on include Cat in the Hat at the Gibson Amphitheater. And all that tough talk is corny as fuck. I'm a grown-act man, and none of that sod is gonna go like you think. You do you, and I got this over here. When the podcaster, Shannon Sharpe, asked about Williams' relationship with the three comedians, Harvey, Smiley, and Cedric, he claimed that they had been conspiring against him for years.
For 30 years, they're a group. These aren't three random guys. The way that Rickey Smiley kept appearing at all of my auditions is because of Steven said he would tell anybody that, listen, they got a gang on that side. They know what it is.
Williams also reignited his feud with Kevin Hart by calling him an industry plant, alleging his success has not been organic.
In 15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club. He already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that came to LA and in his first year in LA, he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading?
What do you think a plant is? Maybe people don't understand the definitions of these words. He just did his documentary with Chris Rock, where he shows you that his whole upbringing in comedy was on the East Coast. So how simultaneously was he here in Los Angeles doing the same thing? It didn't happen. The comedian claimed that for a 5-year period, every single movie that Kevin Hart did was a movie that had been on his desk. He stated that he turned down a lot of overtly homosexual roles that were intended for him, as he was not homosexual. It doesn't need that to be funny, right? He also claimed that those roles were given to Hart and he was treated like a bad person because he stood on his standards. He also asserted that they were gatekeepers in Hollywood. They tell you there are no gatekeepers, but we keep seeing the same person open the gate. Didn't Kevin let Tiffany Haddish in, Ernie? What do you mean ain't no gatekeepers? There's 100 gates out here. Everyone I've seen got a keeper. Williams and Hart have had public disputes before. During an appearance on The Breakfast Club in 2018, Hart criticized Williams for attacking the comedic abilities of his longtime friend, comedian Tiffany Haddish. He accused Williams of being under the influence of drugs. Hart first responded to Williams's Club Shay Shay appearance on Thursday, writing on X that his remarks were honestly sad. During an episode that premiered on Friday of his new NBA-focused ESPN series, NBA Unplugged with Kevin Hart, the night school actor made several quips and made several claims about Williams' recent explosive appearance on the Club Shay Shay podcast. He called Williams' interview horse shit. He then made fun of one part of the podcast episode in which host Shannon Sharpe appeared to say that Williams had told him he got accepted into college at 7 years old. Hart said during his show with a laugh, "You lost me at you got a college offer at age 7. Certain things I just can't get past. I've got 2 words for the world. Fact check it." Hart later referred to Williams' viral interview as a circus after sports analyst and retired NBA player Kendrick Perkins teased him about not firing back at Williams after his podcast appearance premiered. Hart asked while laughing uncontrollably, "Do you entertain a circus or do you watch it, Perk? What do? You watch it. You go, Man, look at that lion riding a bike. Do you think Katt Williams' criticisms of these mentioned comedians are much more than they seem? Let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe.